What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. How degrees, how degrees ruined marriage. Now we talk about. I've talked about, um, the ideal of marriage not really being proper. But I'm gonna use education as an example for uh, why it's not conducive to marriage right now. Here's the thing, and this is for all the I watched a couple of videos on successful black women who are on this panel. I think with Larry Wilmore. Saw that on Dr. Boyce Watkins' channel. Just saw recently Jay Nice on the mic. She did her speak about Ask a Black Guy, which is on Madame Noir, and they were talking about women's dating woes, right, or why things are the way they are. And this on my level shit is one of the problems of why women are not getting married too. And I didn't see it be addressed, so I'm gonna address it. I think I'm taking too long to get into it. Now let's get into it. Now, if you got these degrees, if education is your thing, right? Especially black women, right? Because black women are supposed to be like the most educated women in America as a group. So you think you're the most educated, that makes you the smartest. It's two different things, but you're the most educated. So if you're the most educated group in America, and in the same group, the single black mother is like the poorest demographic in America too. So the most educated group is still technically the poorest group. And nobody sees the correlation in this. I don't know why, but I'm going to run this down. When you get a bachelor's degree, the vast majority of people who go to college have to pay back student loans. Then when you go get a higher degree, you have to pay on that too. Then you might go get a third degree, you're going to have to pay on that too. Now, you could pay from upwards of tens of thousands of dollars to hundreds of thousands of dollars for this education. And you're saying that, you can't find a guy who's on your education level. Not taking into consideration your education level screams fiscal irresponsibility. Because if you want to get, when you bring up the marriage conversation, you're in a roundabout way asking a guy to marry you, and he has to do a debt analysis. See, a guy like me went to college, graduated, got a degree. But a guy like me took the harder road and worked his way through college. I got help, but I worked my way through college. So my student loans lasted all of 3 months after I got my degree. Now, if I talk to a woman, I've talked to many women who've had, masters, PhDs, you know, that kind of thing, and they felt like they made a certain amount of money. Some made more than me. Some made more than me on paper and took home less than me. Some I made more than. That's been a general theme over the years. And I'm going to tell you why. As a guy, if you feel like you're successful, you got a student loan payment you got to make. I don't. We both got rent, mortgage, rent. Okay, cool. Car note. I don't. You may, because retirement. I'm cool. You may or may not be, but depends on the amount of debt you're in, right? Health insurance, cool. Like I'm like everything, all my, in a sense, all my ducks are in a row, and all your ducks are in a row. The problem is your massive education is gonna take a bulk of your take-home income, and you want a guy to marry you, because I've dated someone like that before too, who wanted me to spend everything that I take home extra to help her pay down her loans, which was asinine. I didn't create them loans. Why the hell would I pay them off? Now, that same mentality of education to a degree goes to lifestyle, because if you get a certain degree, you're gonna you feel your degree has a status, so you have to drive certain types of cars. So your notes may be ridiculous because you want to look the part. You may have to you may wear certain types of clothes because you want to look the part. You may want to have your hair, nails, makeup done a certain way because you want to look the part. You may buy certain handbags, wallets, and shoes because you want to look the part. Go to certain events to look the part. All of this is throwing money in the toilet. But you are, quote unquote, successful. At the time, looking for a guy who's just as successful as you, which to a degree is fiat success. Fake ass success, right? Because your success doesn't necessarily equate to your financial stability. Thus, you can be college educated, and I've seen this. College educated, Section 8 housed, could be nice stuff though. Child support getting, food stamp, because people have been using education as a hustle. Don't say people haven't. I know plenty of women who actually use their education as a way to get by, to the being in school as a way to get by. They're actually not looking to work and make money because they're hoping to find a man that's gonna just come along and wipe all of their debts away. That's what I'm talking about, this marriage shit. Who has kids and who's literally afloat because of student loans, but is broke. And I've seen women who graduated and have no problem, you know, trying to live out, no kids, trying to live out their dream of traveling and being seen, and over selfie culture, taking pictures everywhere instead of doing everything. Which still equates to just wasting fucking money. And from the outside looking in, it's like just a negative expense sheet because of your education. Because are you telling me that a guy who goes to college, gets a job, or starts a career, or starts a business, who takes home a certain amount of money a year, and who doesn't have all of these expenses that you do, is not, quote unquote, a good catch because he doesn't peacock his way into your interests? He doesn't drive the car you think he should drive that'll catch your attention. He doesn't wear the clothes that you think a successful man should wear to get your attention. He doesn't have girls fawning all over him. The type of girls that'll make you think that he's worth something because it doesn't get your attention. He could just be uh, inconspicuous. And that's not good enough. And it's funny because I get in conversation with some females, and over the last 10 years, every now and then, the millionaire next door book an idea pop up. It's like, well, how the hell would you know about the millionaire next door if you wouldn't date a guy that just handling his business day to day? Because it doesn't fit the perception mold. If you take the same guy, and I've seen this plenty of times, same guy be driving a Ford Taurus. Don't give him a second look. Pull up in the S550. How did he do that? Currency. That's it. Currency. But the thing about that is, just like I know guys, other guys who do what they do and take care of their business on the low. Because I, as a guy, know that look. You know, when somebody comes over to your place and the girl goes, this is you? And you go, oh, fuck. I thought you was a successful woman. Now you feel like, I could I could come here because it becomes a financial situation with the marriage part because you can see it in their eyes. I could come here, we can get married, I can not have to pay bills, I can pay all my loans off, and you could just read it in their eyes, and they're telling themselves and they don't even know it by saying certain things. But I'm not even gonna get into that part. And they're telling themselves, like I said, but it's basically what I was getting at, alluding to a second ago. I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna live here, I'm gonna do the bare minimum, and I can get back on my feet. And thus, let's have a wedding, more debt. After the wedding, let's have a honeymoon, more debt. After the honeymoon and this sign on a paper that you and I are together, bam, my student loans hit us, more debt. I want a bigger house, more debt. And uh, this successful facade becomes a theme in a guy's head. Like, you want to keep up with the Joneses so bad, you would suffer in silence inside a house you can't afford, a car you can't afford, clothes you can't afford, for attention. Because, with an education that you couldn't afford, and 9 times out of 10, why I brought up the money part earlier about the most educated but the poorest demographic is because by those two correlating things, you're not doing anything that produces any fiscal gains as a smartest group. Because if I'm not mistaken, even though you might be the most educated group, I don't think a lot of sisters are in the STEM at all. You know, Science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So a lot of these degrees sometimes don't really bring any gains. So being successful is looks unsuccessful. as far as the financial aspect of a relationship with with the opposite sex. It's a little bit long. I'm done. I'm gonna leave that alone for the peace.